and Justin from Oopgo. How are you?
Great, how are you?
Pretty good. Just a normal Friday, so.
Great.
Where are you calling us from, Crum? Are you in Chicago, is that correct?
In San Francisco.
Oh, you're in San Francisco. Okay. How's the weather this time of year? Pretty
beautiful.
Beautiful, nice. Yeah, we're in San Diego. It's pretty nice today as well. It's more common for us, but just wondering how things are going. So.
We're definitely a little cooler than you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So. On that note, I just want to confirm first, Karam, are we connected? Can you see Macys on the main screen?
I am trying to log in.
I'll give you a minute in that regard.
And I do have a hard stop at 11:30, so I apologize.
No problem. Yeah, we're going to, just to let you know in advance on our end, what this is essentially a 15-minute capabilities overview from a very top level to our differentiators in the analytics and market research industry. And from there, if you had interest to move forward, we would schedule a deeper dig on any particular points of interest. So.
Okay.
On that note, Karam, if you wouldn't mind, telling me, with your direct involvement in your title, are you using your web analytics solutions in addition to marketing and research based, or what do you kind of have your hand in directly?
So I'm the head of analytics for Macys.com. I own the web analytics solution, which is Core Metrics, and we also have Hitwise as if you can call it a market research on the online space, market research tool. We are talking to ComScore. We have NPD data from the store side and other tools and data as well.
Okay. So within your role, you basically have accumulation of all these tools that you derive insight from yourself?
My team, yes.
Your team. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in on our end. So to introduce ourselves, keeping this pretty succinct, I'm Oopgo. We're a digital marketing intelligence company. We have a comprehensive solution in the advanced website analytics space as well as in the marketing research. So what I'm going to be showing you here is approximately 10 minutes of our analytics module, 5 minutes of the competitive intelligence, and once again, have a few minutes to wrap up on our end before the hard stop.
Okay.
So our core differentiator sounded like, so Core Metrics is your base for web analytics, correct?
That's correct.
So our core differentiator from Core Metrics and most enterprise products is, traditional analytics, what's being stored is what's within the HTTP logs. If you have someone going from page to page on your site, the transition from page to page is being captured by default, letting you know, a client came from here and did this. And aside from that, you guys would also probably be adding particular events for actions on the page, such as if someone, added to cart, etc. You can add that as your own metric. So what we do that's differently here is our company is storing approximately 1,000 times as many data points for every website visit by default. So what that means is if I'm on your search bar and I write, my name's Bob, I press delete, and I write Ryan. We're going to be creating a data point for all of the each individual text point to be able to give you the typing speed that I just presented, the percentage of deletes versus completion of entry, and every action you see on your site is being stored individually. And that comes down to mouse movement, that's text selection, and of course that's pre-submit form information in addition to post-submit and everything else that you currently have the capability to detect. So that's really what differentiates us from a data perspective, is anything on your site to be able to dig deeper, and we have a intelligence module that lets you apply this to segmentation and I guess a traditional enterprise analytics to be able to use this data in an efficient way to derive value.
What are some examples of that?
Of the adding value, or of what we can add more, for instance?
Adding value. What are some of the examples of how people can add value doing this?
Well, in your case, retail, it's usually taking a closer scope onto the onto your checkout process to understand customer hesitation time, for instance. If someone, let's say, filled out 3-4 steps of your checkout process and you saw that they moved their mouse for 3 seconds over the security seal and abandoned that cycle, we would be able to store the mouse movement on top of the security seal and say, in a lot of cases, people may be concerned with security. Let's see how many other instances people are pausing for 4 seconds and going back. The other common sense instance is to have efficiency for form time completion to see, hesitation on what's the percentage of, if you have a clear message on your auto search, for instance, on top here, what's the average deletion percentage where people are finding what they're looking for. Let's line up the links they went to with what they saw before, because we want the customer experience to be as smooth as possible. So yeah, and of course these are questions for us. We can dig much deeper into case studies, but for now I think it's easier if I kind of walk through the other piece of our of what we do on that end. So in addition to storing every individual action that happen on your site, we're able to replay every customer session in the exact format, basically from the eyes of your customer. So within our module system, anytime you see data or analytics, you can click play, and you're able to see exactly what happened from the customer perspective. It's of note here that anything you see on the screen is also being stored as a data point, which means, of course, on a macro level basis, it's completely searchable. If you want to detect a pattern through video that wasn't detectable as a customer pain point, you're able to search through and understand, how many other sessions or pages this would apply for. I wanted to show, so other than this, replay, being able to replay this, I wanted to give what's usually very a high note for any enterprise with larger traffic needs is how deep we go into mobile in particular. Because, we all know that mobile statistics versus the value of a visit or page load from a traditional customer, it's not, you're talking about a different plane. We're all kind of in discovery to understand the value and the best way to monetize. So what this example is here is, I suppose, the depth we're going into mobile with recreation. What you're going to be seeing in this quick 20-second example is actual mouse movements made with fingers on a mobile device. So if someone was on Macys.com and navigating on their cell phone, we're storing, it's a proprietary technology, we're storing all of their finger movements and engagement points and able to replay them as well. So I'm going to let this play for a few seconds. Ron.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
So I mean, the simplistic takeaway there is, the benefit of the replay and everything that you see being stored here, that's not traditional, to be able to get better insight into any customer struggle points. So. The last view I'm going to be showing you within our analytics module is what we have here. This is also a proprietary technology. This is a live view within our traffic module. So if someone's on Macys.com and you wanted to select a segment of, I want a live view of traffic that came from China that made this many past purchases in the past, any particular segment, we're able to click go live and you're able to monitor and view what's happening, and that segment is live traffic. So in this case, if this was 5 different people, you would be able to monitor them for general usability, or you would be able to focus on any particular session, and you would be able to actively chat or deliver a dynamic content, such as if you wanted a pop-up applied for particular customers, trying it in a few cases before developing it as a business rule. Once you develop as a business rule, of course, that just comes down to saying everyone who fulfills this criteria, we might want a different pop-up or a different price or a different action taken on the front end. So this is built within a normal analytics module where you would be able to click live from any view and say, I want to see my current live traffic. So that's the main takeaway from what's being displayed here. Any questions, Karam, or should I keep?
No, that's fine.
Okay. When I click View Details, on any of these particular live views, what it immediately goes to is this is a custom view we have that gives each customer's entire experience from one view. What this is underneath here, we're taking pictures of every visit on your site to give you a panoramic view of what's happening in each session. And we're also lining up all of your past, whether the browsers are anonymous or they already had an account. We would customize it each way. But in this case, this would be an anonymous user. You have their entire history from one view to be able to go back and forth from session to session. That in a lot of cases can apply to customer servicing just to kind of understand struggle points, or if you're a data guy doing analysis on what's usually happening for a customer experience. Let's look at some successful examples without having to go to a lot of different modules. Underneath here is just a simple example. Every view I've showed you thus far is all integrated into one uniform data source, so your company can choose your own KPIs to customize what you want supplemented with each view. So if you wanted sales data, transactional data, if you want key point entry data, such as people who came from Google and applied this action, all this can be customized through event tracking, tagging, a lot of other built-in capabilities with our system because it's all created from one data source.
So is this a software as a service solution, and how do you enable this?
It's a default is software as a service. It's a website application you would tag on a page-by-page basis, basic JavaScript. We also provide a, Justin, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
If you could give more details about the other option on the non-SaaS option.
Yeah, we also offer clients a solution to host it internally if they have their own system preferences or infrastructure preferences and would like more control over everything for their data. That is a totally viable option as well.
And on that note, the footprint and the page load is it's less than Google Analytics. That's usually the main comparison point. The big struggle from our end as a company, the big differentiator to be able to do this is executing a lightweight script all on the client end and being able to output and store this data without any extra load. So there's no extra load needed. It's an average of a couple hundred or 0.2 milliseconds per each page. So it's not going to have any effect on your side in that regard. Last detail here just to show you a top-level overview. We're not going to dig into. We have quite a few modules. But, of course, the starting point for all this is a traditional dashboard. The big difference here is anytime you click on a number or view, you're able to see a deeper view on a micro basis from all of the different video views I've shown before. These aren't separate modules. It's linked to a particular segment you click on, and you can take a look at any of these individual views I've shown before. So that's about as deep as I'm going to go into that. That's, of course, another conversation for in the future. So, any other questions, Karam, on the analytics? I was going to transition now to the competitive intelligence module. Do you have any other questions before moving on?
No, this is good.
Okay, thanks. So, our other asset of our company, the last 6 years, if you're Google, Bing, other mainstream search indexes, the liability is on a website to get indexed. So basically, if you register a domain tomorrow, you're not going to be listed in Google until you either ping them or you're associated with another website that's going to, have the robots pick up your information. What differentiates Oopgo, we've been building our own search engine index the last 5 or 6 years, and our algorithms are more aggressive. Where every time a website is registered, every 24 hours, we're indexing all of their page source information. So what this allows us to have as an end result is 5 times as many individual domains as Google. It's estimated as 30 million versus our 180 million. So the way we provide this as a benefit to companies is it's not 1998. No one wants a basic search engine. But for companies who want to fine-tune and take a look into what their competitors are doing, we give them access to this database. We establish what their KPIs are and what they want to look at from the customer's end. And I'm going to walk you through one deliverable option in that regard. But the key takeaways, we have all of the websites in one domain, and we have a lot of flexibility where if you wanted to define your own custom algorithm either on your industry or the internet for us to be able to do a quick search. So in this example here, this would be a scenario where your company might outline 3 key competitors. We would be storing their changes in traffic rank on either a weekly or monthly basis. We would also be storing their changes in correlated source code. So the common sense takeaway here is if you see that a competitor had a 40% increase in traffic and you saw that they had 5 million extra Facebook likes in the same week and you saw that they changed a sales headline, there's usually a correlation between these actions. So as a top-level executive, it's more used for automated awareness to say, social media team, find out what campaign they used. I see they had some kind of success. Or, of course, if you saw negative, to say, why is the segment down? Did they add a new technology this last week? You know, if there's a correlation to allow you to benchmark your own company and avoid those problems. On the bottom left here, usually what a company will want from our database is they'll want to highlight a few key competitors, and they'll also want a broader look at their entire industry. So under the industry premise, if you wanted to define your competitors as every site on the internet using the word clothing that's been out for 5 years that has X or Y traffic, we would be able to tag all of those individual domains and run broad-based analysis on their key trends. So let's assume that you had identified your industry as 50,000 different websites. What we would be doing is you could say, I want to know what's the average page load speed. We would automatically be giving you the common, technology changes. If you add code to your source code that's publicly available, we look at this for all the sites and say, look, 3% of sites this past month have used jQuery more. So the point here is, of course, if XYZ technology is invented tomorrow and your competitors start using it successfully or your industry, you're going to have automated awareness into what's going on without being left in the dark. So that's the key takeaway here. This is one deliverable example, but all of these individual metrics are customized per company. We'll have, a couple KPI overview meeting, and you can say, for instance, here's what I want to track instead, here's what I want to automate, and our asset is just the database capability to do that across the entire internet. I'll show you one more module within here. Just like the analytics, it's a lot simpler than we can say here. But the other common sense benefit for any larger international enterprise particularly is if we're getting domains when they're registered within 24 hours, when it comes down to brand protection on your company's end, if someone is infringing on your, if someone creates Macys supersale.com in China tomorrow and he finds a way to leverage off a promotion to make money, usually you don't have insight into particularly what's happening on the source code end until they get indexed into a search engine. So in our case, we would be able to detect those infringers before any other mainstream index because we're collecting this information every 24 hours. So that's just usually the other side of the coin. This example here is showing you if you want to say, if you want to do any kind of keyword analysis, we're also storing the auto search patterns from other large search engines. So if you wanted to run a monitor, for instance, over a month and say, how many new keywords are people searching through Google that are using the word Macys car? It's not a great example, but we would be able to pick up the new terms that people are searching for before, and you would be able to customize these for any unique search engines as well. Usually for retail, Amazon's an example here, but you might pick a few search engines of your competitors, and you just want to say, hey, people are looking for black bikes a lot this last month. That's a good pay-per-click campaign to target. Maybe that's something we need to make more apparent on the marketing end. So that's this is a hard stop on my end as well. Do you have any questions on your end, Karan?
No, I have a good idea right now.
Okay, so wrapping up, yeah, the other mention, the key takeaway, you've mentioned looking into ComScore, Alexa, most of the competitive intelligence tool. The breadth, of course, is the biggest differentiator on our part. With 180 million domains. I don't know ComScore's numbers, but that's the big difference when people might want to compare head-to-head, regardless of what's given by default, is the flexibility in the numbers. our next step in any call with anyone like you is to ask, what would you like as follow-up sent to you? Would you like to maybe take a deeper dig in the future? What would be a practical next step if there's interest on your end?
I will ask my team to go to your website and look at the offerings. I can see some interest. I'll be upfront. I'm not interested in majority of what we went through right now, other than the sessions maybe information. I need to ask my team members to go through the information on the site and see if there's interest. Everything you have showed me, I think we have a solution in-house already, so we're not thinking about replacing or changing what we have, other than the live session info, and that we need to assess. Any tag-based solution is a hassle for us to implement. Doesn't matter how fast you load. It's a matter of implementation on a site like ours. We don't have the resources or capability to do it fast, so I don't know what that means. But we need to assess and get back to you if there's interest.
Okay. Would you mind saying, are you using a T-Leaf, or because you're using IBM, are you guys using any screen recreation solutions currently?
We are looking into T-Leaf, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll mention on that point, obviously what you mentioned, they are on the wire, putting the stress on the server as opposed to the client end. Just to mention as a last differentiator there is T-Leaf is using HTTP docs. When we talk about our differentiator with data, it applies to T-Leaf as well. We are storing 1,000 times as much data as them. They're unable to, we're actually speaking right now with them directly, working on a complement. So I guess that's just something to mention. If you wanted clear differentiations from T-Leaf, we could work on that. We have quite a few different views and options, that they, from a capability standpoint. And the other takeaway is everything that's shown you is modularized. So like you said, if you only had interest in the live traffic aspect, we wouldn't have to deliver any other piece of our solution. And I'll tell you up front as well that just about any enterprise client we have, our next step is usually a pilot on a small segment of their site where they essentially give us a 3 to 6 month challenge to come up with all the statistics we can mention that their current solutions can't do. So we would deliver that to a company, if you have, I'm guessing you guys are well over the billion monthly unique range. If you wanted to look at one page on your site, implement our solution for 10 M a month, uniques without conflicting with any of your current technology, we would return a customized, I'll give you, I believe we have an example of them. We would be using a few hours internally on our end to give you a lot of customized what we thought would be high value statistics to make your decision before doing any, before needing any further commitment. So I'll just let you know that's the case in almost every case because I do know the build and the time it takes to implement any of these solutions, from hours on your end as well as organizational. So
yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Karam, it was nice talking to you. I'll let you know as a follow-up. I'm just going to send a couple basic overviews, assuming those would be appreciated on your end, just a couple 4 or 5 page docs. And if you have any requests, such as differentiating from another solution, can we do this or that, please feel free to reach out to me directly.
Great, thank you. And definitely I will be looking for documentation on this session and mobile device session tracking. That would be great.
Okay. All right. No problem, Karim. It was nice talking to you, and hopefully talking sometime in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.